So reports have come out that Chelsea need to raise £100 million in player sales just to comply with profit and sustainability rules. And the fact that Chelsea didn't go into the January transfer market when many, including myself, felt like we should do would suggest that maybe there is a chance Chelsea are not able to spend without raising any money. So what I want to do in this video is first, I want to raise the money to comply with the profit and sustainability rules, and also then raise any additional money that we may need to invest in, let's just say, a Victor Osman move. And here to help me do so and help me crunch the numbers, someone that is way smarter than myself, you lot probably know this by now, is my good friend and channel fan favourite, Josh Aveste. Josh, liking the t-shirt, mate.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Look at this. Beautiful.
Yeah. And just off the top of my head, anywhere they can grab that t-shirt?
If you go to aveste.co.uk, thanks, Jerry. If you go to aveste.co.uk, there's the best collection of independent streetwear on the market. You wear your t-shirt to go boxing, don't you, mate?
I do. I wear it in sparring. Very good. Got a bit of blood over it by now. None of it's mine.
That adds to the effects, mate. We want that on every single streetwear t-shirt. Come on.
Before we get into this, because you're not the biggest believer of these reports that have come out in terms of raising the money.
Yeah.
But let's, until the end of the video, where I can sort of crunch the numbers with you, let's suggest that we do need to raise the money.
Yeah.
So let's start off with listing out what I believe are like the givens. Everyone knows that these guys are going, and then we'll discuss what sort of fees that we can get from. Yeah. So are we in agreement that we're going to start off Ian Matson? He's going.
Yeah, he's gone, isn't he? Like, he's got an obligation to buy from Dortmund. He's tearing it up in the Bundesliga. You just got to say he's going to go for that. I think that was £35 million, which is a good amount of money. 35
million, and to be honest, the way he's playing over there, that might end up over time working out a snip for Dortmund.
Oh, God, yeah, it'd be a really good price then. We're going to miss out. Do you know what's funny is I have a sneaky feeling that we might end up selling one of our left backs this summer. And if we do, the Matson deal will look absolutely horrendous. But you need the money. And it's pure profit.
Out of the two, Cucurella and Chilwell, who are you selling?
Do you know what's funny? I would sell Cucurella, but I bet you're going to say Chilwell.
I don't know, man. I really don't know.
You've actually been a complete convert to Chilwell, because remember we were sat in this room pre-season and we were just going, Chilwell's got, Cucurella's gone.
Yeah.
And now look at us, like we're now kind of like, I'm very really excited for him to come back.
How many matches has Chilwell been back in the team for?
I would say probably 5 or 6, something like that now.
Yeah.
Like playing week in, week out, we're talking about.
Against Borough, he was unreal. I was at that game. Yeah. He was the difference maker. Yeah. He was so
He was coming
good
into midfield, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. So, yeah, no, it's not that I don't rate Chilwell at all. I love Chilwell. But I'd agree with you. I think there's a chance one of those boys gets moved on.
Yeah.
I would ideally then want someone like a Matson to stay, because, my God, I don't want to see Levi Cull at left back. But let's assume that Matson does go. The next name I've got on this list, a man that can play left back, he can play anywhere really across the pitch, and a man whose fortunes have not been sort of favoured the way we thought they would when he went out on this loan spell. I really thought he was going to impress, and that is Lewis Hall.
Yeah, tough one, isn't it? And it just feels like we're hearing rumours that he might not even end up going to Newcastle. And I'm glad you mentioned both of these guys at the start, because the point that I will make now is that we're in a counting period right now for this year. And the sort of the worry and the nervousness from the Chelsea fans comes from the fact that we need to raise a certain amount of money before the end of the year. And what that means is by the end of June 30th. So basically there needs to be some sales that go on before that. Now, the guys with obligations, so like a Matson, you would anticipate that they're pushed through early, because the teams will want them in pre-season. It helps everyone if they're moved on quicker, right? So the Matson deal feels to me like it will be done pretty quickly. That helps immediately for our accountancy period. And what you're going to see, Chelsea's strategy, it will be twofold. It will be getting rid of as many players as we possibly can before June 30th. And we won't be buying any players until July the 1st. That's so that the transfers come in for the next year are in next year's books, and then last year's are in last year's books. The sales are all in last year's books. That helps with FFP. So I just wanted to make that point. What you're going to see is that we'll be really busy before June the 30th. And what it may mean is that we end up taking cut price deals to make sure that they're out by that time period. So I think that's when we're looking at our calculations, which we'll get into the money later. That's what we've got to consider.
And you actually offer bookkeeping services as well, don't you?
I do. So anyone that does want any bookkeeping services, go over to my channel now. Just send me a direct message and I will help you. That includes any football clubs up and down the pyramids for a very small fee of £1 million a price, basically.
A book. They call him the Collier's Wood Better Call Saul. So,
yeah. Thanks for that.
I've been rewatching Breaking Bad at the minute. I'm absolutely
what
loving
a show!
It.
I am.
What
literally
Breaking
as well.
Bad character would you say you're the most like?
God, this is a really, really hard one. Can I say, do you know that really fat bouncer that that looks after all the cash? I'd probably say him.
Yeah, he lies on the bed of cash.
Yeah.
He's good stuff.
Yeah.
I'd probably go Badger for myself. No.
I'm going to call you Badger from now on. That's going to be
Josenberg. Right, where the fuck is that going? Let's move on to Amanda Broha.
Yes.
Amanda Broha, is he going?
I think he is going. The fact that we've loaned
Have
this
you seen
guy
any
out,
of him at Fulham?
No, he
so
hasn't.
far?
He's barely played. So the fact that he's gone there is behind all of their other strikers. You know, Jimenez, Munoz. He's behind both of them. He's not even getting a look in. It's not
What was
good.
the logic from Fulham's side for the Broha?
I just
was
think,
it just looks a bit like Mitrovic?
Yeah. I think that's completely throwing me off. I think they were looking at potentially offloading one of those strikers. You know. They didn't get the deal done, and so they brought Broja in, and maybe they thought that Broja could have been an upgrade, and maybe he just needs time to settle in. I don't think that I think Broja will be sold. I don't think he'll end up at Fulham, mate. I can't see that happening. I don't know where he goes. So, where do you think he goes?
Wolves, Forest, somewhere like that.
I think it could be abroad. You know, I think he could end up in Italy. If I was putting a bet on it.
Could be. We didn't actually say the fee for Lewis Hall, so I've got written down here a £28 million release clause.
Yeah, I'm calling it 30 for math's sake, but yeah.
Always round it up. Always round it up. Right. Okay. So Broa, I've got down here 30 million. Is that what you've sort of calculated for Amanda Broha?
Say that again.
Phone's jumped out the hand.
Yeah.
I've got 30 million for Broha. Is that what you've sort of calculated?
I've literally said 30 as well, which is a bit
now,
weird.
If he
it
doesn't
feels
impress,
like every player's 30 million.
If he doesn't impress at Fulham, are we getting 30?
I mean, he's still on a decent amount of contract. I do think we'll get 30.
Yeah, but then would clubs not just think, well, no, I don't want to pay 30 for someone who's not really scoring goals in the Premier League?
I think there'll be enough clubs bidding that price up that there'll be a decent amount of money coming in.
If it is 30, it needs to come from the Premier League.
I think AC Milan, someone like that, could pay that kind of money.
I love a Chelsea reject.
They do.
Yeah.
And do you know what? They play really well there.
Yeah.
Mate, do a swap deal. Let's get Giroud back.
Do you know what I was thinking the other day? You know, we were talking about the third man in midfield for England. Ruben.
Ruben is so good, isn't he? He's
what
one of those
a
players
midfield.
that
What
I
an
miss.
absolute
I know.
powerhouse of a midfield. That would be Rice, Bellingham, Ruben.
Yeah. I really regret selling him. He's one of those ones last summer that I just thought he's got a bit more to give. I think he's only like 26.
27, I think he
There
is.
you go. So yeah, he's still got a few years in him. Shame.
Okay. So we're going 30 million for Broa?
Yeah.
I think we're being speculative there. But
Okay.
My man I love very much, Chalobah. He's going to be on the way, isn't he? But then again, I'm looking at the sort of centre-back, somewhat injury crisis at the moment, you know. Obviously, Badia Shield's out for a while. Levi Colwell looked like he picked up a knock when he came back. I don't know whether he'll be straight back in there. Desassi's there. Thiago Silva came off injured. Yeah. We might see Chalobah back in the mix sooner rather than later. And if he comes in and he does a good job for Pochettino, maybe Pochettino will want him there more often. But I think the decision's sort of over Poch's head, isn't it?
I think it's kind of done now, yeah. And when you're talking about injury crisis, you've got Badia Shield out for a month. You've got Thiago Silva, could potentially be kind of similar. He's definitely going to miss the cup final. And then you've got Fofana that will be out for the rest of the season. You're starting to think we're in an injury crisis at centre-back, aren't we? Like, we've not got a lot of options there. So I honestly think, Trev could end up playing quite a bit this season.
So who's starting at centre-back for us in the cup final? Oh, it'll have to be Disassi and Colwell.
I think Colwell will be back. That injury seems quite minor for Colwell, so I think he'll be back in the squad.
So how much do you reckon we get for Chalobah?
I think about 20 million is where I sort of put him in there. If you think about it, he's a young English player that has come through the Chelsea Academy. I think there'll be a lot of clubs in for him. So I think he'll go for a decent amount.
What's the first club that comes to mind when you think of Chalobah?
Forest.
We always just think Forest though, don't we? Do you know who I think of?
Go on.
Palace.
Yeah, I could see him going to Palace. I could see him going to Palace. Him and
Chalobah and
together.
Gay in a little centre back pairing come through the academy together. That'd be pretty decent.
But then their other centre back, Anderson, isn't it? Like he looks great.
Yeah,
he looks
but
really
he
good.
went down like a sack of potatoes when Darwin Núñez stuck the nut on him.
That's
didn't
true.
he?
Do you see that what he did to Nkunku as well? Climbing all over his back. Basically did a backflip over Nkunku's
really?
back. Could have been a penalty. Just saying.
Should have been.
Should 4-1.
Should have been 4-1. Claim it. All right.
Do you think that's fair? Do you think that amount of money is fair for Chalobah? Or do you think it should be slightly less?
Not unless he puts himself in the shop window in between now and the end of the season. I'm answering the question, is it fair? I'm more answering with my view of, is it realistic? So
I think that is realistic. I think there'll be enough teams in for him to get that kind of price. Mate, he's an English player. Like he's a good level centre back. He's easily a mid-table Premier League centre back. Easily.
And one thing I shouldn't really underestimate so far is Todd Bowley and the ownership's ability to be able to move players on for funds that I didn't think we were going to get from them. Because you look at the yield from the last window, not the summer, the January transfer window, but the last summer window, we got some good results for a lot of money.
The only caveat that I would say is if it happens before June 30th, there's going to be a bit of pressure for us to get him out the door. And so we might end up taking a 15 million or a 16 million. Do you know what I mean? So I think
in that case, we put him down as like a 15 mil.
Okay.
So, the next man, very interested to know whether you think we're getting any money for this man, sort of falling out of favour now. It is Kepa Arrizabalaga.
What has gone on with Kepa? He's second choice at Real Madrid behind Lunin,
and he still wants to stay there rather than come back.
I know, but
he don't get a look.
He doesn't get
ahead of Petrovic.
No, he doesn't get a look in at Chelsea ever again. The way he carried on, all the press briefings, everything like that. Do you know what? It feels a bit to me like the Courtois situation. Do you remember when Courtois was just like, "Yeah, I want to go back to Spain"?
Little bit different
in the quality, but in the situation where he just goes, "Yeah, I just want to play in Spain. I don't give a fuck about coming back to the Premier League.
Yeah,
just want to be back home. You know, that's cool." So, mate, honestly, I don't think he'll ever be anywhere near Chelsea again, but he definitely won't be at Real Madrid, will he?
Nah, again, like you were saying about Italian clubs earlier, maybe going out to Italy, somewhere like that. I could potentially see Kepa, but I don't know. I think there's what word would I use? A decent goalkeeper there, but by no means elite and by no means even top tier. Just a decent goalkeeper in Kepa, a goalkeeper that will forever have a career in the top flight as long as he's playing, sort of thing. But nothing more, nothing less.
He always stumbles into teams, doesn't he?
Yeah.
I do think if you take even Barcelona and Real Madrid out, I think he gets into every single La Liga team. I think he would probably get into Atletico in time. I could see that. Because I
don't watch enough La Liga to even say.
But there you go. Like Atletico got a very good goalkeeper, but I think in time, he's a young guy. He'll be around for a very, very decent amount of time.
How much money do you reckon we could get for Kepa?
I've gone 10 million.
Yeah.
Is that too rich, do you think?
No, I think about 10 mil.
I was thinking about this one quite a bit, and I think that might be one that they do take a cut price deal on and just get him out.
Hasn't he only got about a year left or something, though?
Yeah, he hasn't got long left. I think he will have 12 months more in the summer.
Right,
basically.
okay.
So last year.
Let's say 10 mil for Kepa.
Yeah.
Right, I've got a name on my list, but I know from little chat I had with you off camera, you might not agree on this one. This man is putting himself in the shop window somewhat. 2 goals on his debut. A good little cameo against Liverpool as well. David Datro Fofana. Do you think he moves on or do you think we keep him?
Why do you think we sell him? What's your rationale behind that? Because I'm interested to know.
Depends whether I see Nicholas Jackson as more of a winger or more of a striker, because David Datro Fofana is probably more of a striker. So then you could look at him and you could go, he could be a backup. But I think, all right, the first loan spell we had didn't go too well. This next loan spell looks like it's going to be a little bit better at Burnley. And I think that if he can bang sort of another 8 league goals or something like that, which is a big ask, but, it could happen. It could happen. He's got 2 already. If he ends up with 10 league goals in that sort of 6-month loan spell, I just think that the price that we could potentially get for him, bearing in mind we didn't spend big money on him, and especially when what we were saying about, trying to even the books at the end of that accounting year, could be too tempting for the board to turn down, because I believe that if he can continue the way he has been at Burnley so far, I think you're looking at maybe a £30 million fee, and then we've flipped our money, doubled our money or something on him. So
I feel like it might come a little bit too early this summer. I have a feeling what they're going to try and do with Dacho Fofana is they might potentially loan him out again next year, and then it'll be the following summer that we look to move him on, just again for pricing reasons. I also do have a slight feeling that he might end up being integrated into the squad.
Right.
And maybe not next year, but the year after. I could see him, like, if he does progress and keeps on playing well, like maybe would be integrated into the squad. I know what you're saying about flipping, but there isn't enough money to be made this summer based on his poor performance in the first loan spell for us to warrant a sale. So that's one of those assets that I kind of want to hold on to because I think there's more value in the future. Fair
enough. Let's keep him off the transfer list. And let's go on to another number 9, Romelu Lukaku.
This is a fascinating one because, arguably you could say for a person of his quality and his record, he should be worth, 70, 80 million.
Yeah, but what age is he?
Well, exactly. He's coming into his early 30s now. He's right up there. How many more years in the top flight does he have? I don't know. But then look at what Giroud's doing. And are they two, massively dissimilar players? I would have always said, and I know this is captain hindsight, but I would have always said that Giroud was a better player than Lukaku. I honestly would.
Yeah.
And, captain hindsight indeed. But
Lukaku will guarantee you more goals.
Do you think?
Yeah, 100%.
But then,
100%.
But then does Giroud get more team goals because he involves players more in and he sets more goals up? I honestly do think if you have Giroud in the team, overall your Chelsea team is scoring more goals.
There is a case for it. There is a case for it. But let's not pretend that Lukaku can't do that at all. We see him do it with Martinez at his time at Inter. He can do it somewhat, but I know what you mean. I do know what you mean.
So look, mate, we're talking about money. I honestly think we've got that thing in the contract, which is like 30 odd million euros, I think it is.
I don't think we're getting that.
I've put it down as like 25 million quid.
Yeah, from who?
It's going to be an Italian side of some description. Someone's going to have to swallow their pride. Or he'll have to take the bullet and carry on his flirting with Saudi and end up going there. And look, mate, maybe that seems like the ultimate destination, doesn't it?
He sort of had the chance of the Saudis, though, and blew it.
But come on, mate. He's been flirting with them. Like, he's been saying the Saudi League is so good. It's progressing. I like what they're doing there.
I like what the Saudis are doing.
You do, especially when they're buying half of the Chelsea squad, the rejects. No, I do think 25 million and maybe Saudi Arabia is the way to go.
Okay. Another player currently out on loan, but I could see ending up over in Saudi and all. Raheem Ziyech.
Yeah. I don't think we're going to get loads of money for him. And I need to look at the contract situation. I believe he's also very close to the end of his contract as well. I've put 10 million quid in for Ziyech. I don't think he'll get that much.
I think that's high.
Do you?
What? 5 million.
Come on, Raheem Ziyech is worth more than that.
He's rubbish.
The thing that really worries me with him is he failed a couple of medicals, didn't he?
Yeah.
And that's never a good sign.
No. Why did he fail them?
I think it was knee issues. I remember hearing but that's not a good thing at all, mate. When you're failing medicals and to go to big clubs is scary. So yeah, man. Honestly, that feels to me like a Saudi Turkey permanent.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I think 10 million is fair.
Okay. We'll put him down as 10. What about Malang? The guy that Pochettino doesn't even have a clue who he is. So,
mate, do you know how much money he's on a week?
No.
Have a guess how much you think Malang Sarr's on a week.
Well, now you've said it, I'm thinking it's going to be quite high.
Have a realistic guess.
Realistic guess. Malang Sarr should be what on?
It was a free transfer.
Okay, is he on 35 grand a week?
Up.
50 grand a week?
Up.
No way.
Serious.
70 grand a week?
Up.
Fuck. I'm not having it.
He's on 120 grand a week.
Oh,
he's on more. Do you know what, mate? Let me pull this up. Actually, let me pull this up for you because I've got a list of the highest earners.
Make him on more than Mudryk.
He's on more than Thiago Silva, Carney, Mudryk, Badiashile, Disasi, Cole Palmer, Jackson, Sanchez, Chalobah, Gallagher, Madueke, Gusto, Lavia, Ugachukwu, and Petrovic. He's on more than every single one of those players.
But then could Cole Palmer play in a 3-man defence? So
exactly.
What
a player.
Pay for different jobs.
What a player. I think that's one of those ones that you almost do for nothing and just get him away.
Yeah, get him gone, yeah.
Get him off the wage
100%.
bill. I've put 5 million quid in, but that could easily be nothing.
Okay, let's just put him down as a free then.
Yeah.
Let's just put him down as a free transfer.
Yeah.
Get him off of the books. Right, What is there anyone I haven't named that you think we could still move on that isn't the obvious?
So the only other one that we need, there's one obvious one that will be leaving at the end of the summer, which is Thiago Silva.
Yeah, but that's just wages, isn't it?
That's just wages, but also that's 110 grand a week on wages.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's one of our relatively high earners. That's in the top half.
Yeah.
So I think that's good.
So how much there have we accumulated already? Because if we're going on the assumption, I get that you'll explain we might not agree with this, but we're going on the assumption that we need to raise that 100 million. So how much there have we got?
That's 155 million.
Really?
Yeah.
It's a lot of money.
And I think with some of those, like the Malang one, we just put it down as a free. I think that could be 5 million easily. You know, there's a few.
Yeah, but then there's some like you put Ziyech down as 10. I don't think we're getting that. So I think it evens itself out. Let's call it 150 million there. That means we're probably about 60, 70 million shy if we need that just to cover ourselves, and then we need to go and invest another 110, let's say, in a Victor Osman.
Well, the good news, Sherry, is that we don't need to do that. So the reason why we're putting all of these players on very long contracts, and the reason why the Premier League has made sure that loophole is closed, is because the accounting period is added over that time. So if you sign Osman for £100 million and he's on a 5-year contract, it's only £20 million a year that goes on the books. So, you know, and again, my services are available for this for £1 million. So, you know, like you don't need to bring in that money straight away. So that's the key thing. Like there isn't as much concern about spending as you think, because we can spread it over a long period of time. Right. So we get all of that money in now. So 150 odd million now. And it means we can spread the costs of Osman over a decent amount of time.
So what you're saying effectively there is it really doesn't matter if we get rid of the players that we're pretty much certain are going to go. Even if we get rid of 2/3 of them, we're sweet to then go and invest again in a striker and maybe in a centre-back in the summer transfer window.
Yeah, and we're hearing, obviously, some contrary reports at the moment. Different journalists. I was just listening to Matt Law there, and he was saying, like, they do need to sell before the end of this window, before June the 30th. But then there's also Ben Jacobs and other journalists saying that we've got £200 million to spend in the summer. So there's like... what I think is happening with Chelsea is they're going, we have got lots of assets that are going to be sold, and we're confident that we can sell them. Bearing in mind, there's a lot of obligations there. There's a lot of deals that probably are already done. So there's some confidence there. And then there's also confidence to go, we know that we can spread Osman over a long period of time, and we know that we still have a lot of money left in to buy other players. So everyone's kind of thinking, actually, it could be rosy. Now, the only situation where it isn't rosy is if we don't sell those players by that June deadline. If we don't do that, then we will be in trouble with FFP. But like you said, if it's only 2/3 of them, you're kind of okay.
Gut feeling right now, do we get Osman?
I do think we end up getting Osman. I think they'll definitely go for him. The only caveat that I'm going to say to this, mate, is if we're being outbid by other clubs, and bear in mind there's a release clause, so there's only so much of that can happen. Or say, for instance, he gets a massive package from someone else. I do think that there is a
massive package.
Exactly.
Yep.
And I do think there is a slight possibility that we end up going a rung below Osman and potentially going for a Šeško or someone like that. I think that could be relatively realistic. Now, remember this moment. I'm going to say now there's a sort of a non-zero chance that we don't get Osman for whatever reason, and Šeško is the one that we go for. So remember that now.
And would you back his ability to perform in that role?
I think he's a very good backup to Osman. I would go all out for Osman if we could, but I think he's a decent option, and he would be considerably cheaper.
So in a nutshell, are you telling me and the viewers that in all likeliness we haven't got to worry all that much?
As long as we get those sales done, mate, we will be all right. And that's a big if. Now, the only red button that these boys could push, if they really needed to, and those players weren't being sold for whatever reason, is Conor Gallagher could go. And
no way.
Honestly,
not entertaining it.
No, but mate, honestly, that could happen. Like if you can't offload Ziyech for whatever money, and you can't get Lukaku out, and you can't get some of these other players gone, like Lewis Hall is still around for whatever reason, that they could pull the button on that Gallagher deal.
I don't think they will. Obviously, listen, Josh's word is his bond. So he said we're not in trouble. We don't need to be in trouble. And obviously, if we do end up in trouble and you want to aim your criticism somewhere, I will put Josh's home address and postcode in the description to this video. Anything else?
What about Raheem Sterling? Would you, if you were Todd Boehly, sell Raheem Sterling?
Maybe. If it got to a point where there was a sensible offer on the table. I mean, what would Sterling be? 28 by that point?
Yeah.
28, 29. I think maybe if there was like 25 mil on the table. And I think that's like a semi-realistic price. If anything, I think it's a price that's, quite fair. And a lot of teams would look to jump at. It's more about the player where he would look to go.
Yeah, I don't think Raheem sees himself as a Saudi player.
No.
I mean, if the money was very good, I mean, bear in mind, mate, he's on 350 grand a week. So that's the thing there. It's nothing to do with me thinking, Raheem Sterling's not a good player and we couldn't use him, but I'm just sort of seeing the evolution, or what I at least perceive to be the evolution of this Chelsea squad, and then asking myself the question, is Sterling the man for the job? That sounds like you know something, because there have been some rumours, some briefings going out recently that are saying that Thiago Silva and Raheem Sterling don't fit the age profile and will not be in the long-term plans of Chelsea. Now, Thiago Silva, that's obvious, because he's an older player, and it does feel now that the age is finally catching up with him. And I'm not saying that means he's a bad player, but it just means finally he is on the way down. So you can understand why they wouldn't renew in the summer.
The problem with Raheem Sterling is his game as a winger has not adapted. So like some wingers over age will change position and they'll adapt differently. Off the top of my head, what Antonio Valencia, look how his game adapted. James Milner, look how his game adapted. Like, there are wingers that you look at and you go, okay, as age, as you got older, your game did adapt somewhat, and Raheem Sterling's isn't as much. No. So that's the only reason I could maybe say, okay, yeah, maybe in a long-term picture, you might not be the best fit there.
Yeah, I honestly do think if you're looking at the transfer situation and you're thinking, what is Raheem going to be like in another year's time? His value will be considerably lower in another year's time, and he'll still be on the amount of wages that he's on. And so, mate, honestly, I do think it's make or break. This summer, you've got to offload him. If you don't, then you've got another problem next year. He's still going to want to play. He's still on 350 grand. It means you can't offer the wages to other players that you'd want to offer. Like, imagine, mate, if we get to a scenario where they can't offer Conor Gallagher the wages that he wants because the money is spread elsewhere in the squad. And you've got this guy who, quite frankly, isn't adding as much as we expect him to on 350 grand.
I think I can speak for pretty much everyone watching the channel right now when I say if that was the situation and it's between tying down Conor Gallagher and keeping Raheem Sterling, absolutely no offence to Raheem Sterling, it would be Conor Gallagher that we go for. But people, we want to know your thoughts. Who in the comments section, put them down there. Who have we missed out that you do think could be moved on? Who do you strongly disagree with that you think needs to stay at the club? I want to know all your thoughts. I'll be reading as many of your comments as I possibly can. Josh's channel is linked in the description to this video, so head over there, subscribe to his channel, and I will see you all in the next one.